So what's your type? Ever question why you seem to naturally gravitate to a certain type of person, or if the people you generally pursue for relationships are actually the most compatible for you long term? This video explores who is for who, biologically speaking, the perfect match for each of the four dominant personality types. We will analyse, based on personality profiling, which styles are best suited and why. Understanding this could help create more meaningful long-term relationships in your life, and at the very least, personality compatibility will result in less friction or potential clashes in behavioural styles as a relationship matures. This is why it pays to invest a little time in discovering your own personality type. In previous videos, we've already explored the traits associated with each type and the chemicals or hormones in the brain driving who we are. What we will discuss in this video is the perfect combination based on your specific type. In some respects, this could be considered as settling for second best, as you may find the most compatible partner may not be your usual go-to type. But again, this is about the types that naturally produce the most compatibility. For reference, to categorize the four dominant behavioral styles, I'm using the color framework blue, red, green, and yellow from Thomas Erickson's work that can be explored in his book Surrounded by Idiots. Further to this, the character profiling and psychological studies surrounding the brain hormones associated with each type comes from Helen Fisher's work in her book Why Him, Why Her. Both are highly recommended and provide an excellent foundation if you're interested in behavioral or personality type psychology and relationship biology. But for a breakdown of each of the personality styles, you can also refer to this series of videos I've produced on each of them. Now, before we drill down on this specific personality type compatibility, let's briefly explore the different types of love and the misconception that opposites always attract. The ancient Greeks had more than 10 words to distinguish different types of observable love. Sociologist John Allen Lee reduced these overlapping categories to 6. As we discuss which personality types work best together in relationships and why, the different types of love will be identifiable in the contrasting behavioral styles and traits that make up each type. You may also be able to recognize them in yourself or the people around you. So what are the different types of love? First, there's eros. This is extremely passionate, sexual, erotic, joyous, high-energy love. Then mania, an obsessive, jealous, possessive, dependent type of love. Next, ludus, the Latin word for play, represents playful, unserious, and uncommitted love. Storge, deeply affectionate, a kind of brotherly or sisterly love. This is the feeling of a special friendship, more of a platonic relationship. Then there's agape. This is your gentle, unselfish, dutiful, all-giving, often spiritual type of love. And finally, pragma. This is love based on compatibility and common sense, so a pragmatic type of love. Everyone who falls intensely in love, no matter the personality type, feels some degree of eros and mania. This is because romantic love is largely an irrational, passionate, erotic, possessive, and somewhat exhilarating obsession. But the blue, red, green, and yellow personality types may start here, but will always branch off in search for more than this, and this is where they begin to differ. Each type ultimately will be in search for a different variation of these forms of romance, and for reasons that are linked to their biological makeup and subsequent traits that form their personalities. The idea of a soulmate is in most cases actually a mirror of ourselves in another person. Contrary to common belief, opposites on the whole don't actually attract each other. That's true for all but one personality type combination. Compatibility, however, is not as simple as extroverts attracted to other extroverts, introverts to introverts, or even introverts to extroverts. This aspect of our personalities doesn't play a decisive role in romantic attraction overall. We generally choose our partners for other traits. People don't seek partners solely based on similar or a different degree of traits. We're all a complex combination of the four personality types, behaviors, and ways of thinking. Some of us override this biology as we choose our romantic partners. However, Mother Nature rolled her dice within each of us. We already broke this down in the specific personality type videos. Essentially, we are who we are based on the chemicals or hormones that wired the brain in the womb. As a result, we are all naturally drawn to some people more than others based on this wiring and biological makeup. As detailed throughout this series, the four basic personality types evolved amongst our ancestors. Each type became particularly attracted to those who either complemented or accentuated their personalities in ways that would help rear their young. Reds and greens, for example, pooled their very different resources. Blues and blues capitalized on their strengths to raise many young with one partner, and yellows created a variety in their offspring. All were excellent strategies to spread their genes and, unsurprisingly, still are to this day. So let's explore the perfect personality type matches for compatibility and ultimately discover who is for who. For the blues, it's a blue-on-blue combination. And when looking at the serotonin-driven core traits of a blue, it shouldn't surprise you that they would be most compatible with one another. Blues seek a helpmate and unmatched loyalty. As a result, they are the most effective at long-term pair bonding. Although everyone becomes passionate and ecstatic when they first fall in love, of all the types, a blue is most likely to express pragma, that's love based on compatibility and common sense. Blues seek a stable and predictable team player, someone who shares their faithfulness to family and tradition. We can refer to this as a helpmate. For blues, dating is a serious business. Good manners, old-fashioned courtesy and chivalry certainly is not dead with blues. Male or female, blues are traditional and above all value traditions when it comes to relationships. They are the sentimental types. People often become attracted to a blue when they're ready to settle down and begin a family for the qualities I've just mentioned. Blues don't choose partners impulsively. They are cautious and take time to weigh up the viability of a relationship. As a result, they are more likely to take the opinions of friends and family seriously into account when deciding on a partner because they want them to approve. Intimacy also takes time with a blue. They don't view sex like other types as they generally aren't interested in casual sex. For them, it must be with a devoted partner. In the extremes, they are the most likely of all types to save themselves for marriage. Elevated serotonin levels has been directly linked with a lower sex drive. The traits of a blue mean they far more easily click with other blues. Their cravings for stability and order drives this matchmaking harmony. So ultimately, why do blues seek other blues? Probably because these types are so traditional, loyal and devoted to home and family, it outweighs anything that other types can offer them. This is where they place most value. Can you think of a better environment to raise children than two loyal blue partners? Studies show that these serotonin-rich people tend to marry each other. It's probable that most of the world's 50-year-plus marriages are made up of blue builders. It's a great strategy for perpetuating your DNA. Next up, the yellows. Again, it's a yellow-on-yellow combination that works best. The dopamine-wired yellow produces a particular collection of traits that are most compatible with other yellows. Why? Well, they seek entertainment, a playmate, and adventure. Until they're ready to settle and build a long-term, serious relationship, they express more ludus, that's playful, uncommitted, casual love. Yellow seeks someone who will adventure with them in conversation, in bed, around town, or around the world. A playmate. They regard dating as entertainment. Yellows have a boundless energy linked to dopamine, always on the move physically, intellectually, or both. As we've explored, they enjoy pleasure of the senses. Yellows have good experience in dating, so are proficient at playing the field. They're the most sexual of all of the four types, and have a relaxed attitude towards it. However, they see it as a crucial part of a successful relationship. Dopamine leads to a higher sex drive, so it's important that a long-term partner can satisfy this. Yellows are eternally drawn to other yellows, for their traits feed into each other's natural desire to explore and adventure. No other type can match them in this area. They love change. Novel and unpredictable situations invigorate them. Yellow to yellow is a match made in heaven, as they can feed off each other's adventure and spontaneity. The yellow's sexual energy is what attracts all types, making them the most desired. Primitively speaking, this feeds into all of our instincts. Not necessarily the best type for everyone, but the most lusted after for sure. Many studies show that these dopamine-rich people marry people like themselves, so other yellows. But these sensation-seeking individuals generally express more dissatisfaction to their relationships, and subsequently, these types are more likely to divorce than others. So in this respect, the yellow-on-yellow doesn't seem to be a good match for raising children, yet because they are more likely to divorce and remarry, they are more likely to bear children with more than one partner. In fact, it's actually commonplace to find yellows that divorce and remarry have children with both partners. There is genetic wisdom here. In deep history, famine and other natural disasters wiped out family members, particularly children. If ancestral yellows produce more variety in children with multiple partners, some of their children would survive hard times, again passing on their DNA, and another example of a great strategy in doing so. Now for the final two types, and somewhat controversially, the only example of opposite attraction when it comes to personality style compatibility. It's the green and red combination. This is the exception, and again, when you study the core traits of these opposite types, you can quite quickly understand why the estrogen-wired green would be most compatible with the testosterone-charged red. Traits that at first glance may seem so opposed actually create the perfect harmony. They really do complement each other well. Reds are so dominant that greens are the only type that can handle them. Not even other reds gravitate to reds as they do greens. Why? Because the green wants to nurture them and sees the best in them. They accept everyone and want to people please. Reds like someone following orders. They're extremely tough-minded, direct, decisive, focused, technically skilled and competitive people. They possess many traits that the greens need or are lacking. Greens, on the other hand, are socially skilled, talented with words, mentally flexible and compassionate, traits that many reds need or are lacking also. This combination of very specific and vastly differing traits produces a great harmony in relationships. Interestingly, both types like to play with ideas and theories. The red brings depth to these discussions while greens offer a broad overview. This is the perfect mix of estrogen and testosterone coming together, forming a formidable partnership. More interestingly, these types may even enrich each other's temperament biologically. When the assertive red challenges the chilled-out green, the red may trigger the release of testosterone in the green, making the green more assertive too. And when the more affectionate green strokes and hugs the red, it may trigger the release of oxytocin, so also estrogen, in the normally competitive, highly charged testosterone red. This perhaps makes the red more trusting, intuitive, compassionate and nurturing. Ever witnessed how the dynamics of a couple makes one of them more chilled and the other more adventurous and brings out new sides to them? This is a great example of how different types can bring the best out of each other. Most importantly, when the red and green pool their natural talents, they make a powerful team for rearing the young. Reds seek similar intellect, and we can refer to this as a mind mate. For a red, dating is an expenditure of time and energy. They approach it like any other interest, by rationally analysing their hopes, needs and intentions. They want a partner who shares their goals, as well as someone who is eager to exchange ideas and build theories, talk science, philosophy, politics, or whatever it is that interests them. To balance their forthright, assertive style and quick decision-making, they gravitate to people who weigh alternatives, listen actively, handle conflict delicately, and have well-honed social skills. That's the green in a nutshell. Because reds analyse their own emotions internally and hide them, they seek mates who are emotionally expressive. They struggle with controlling people, so tend to gravitate towards more submissive, flexible and indecisive types. People with great empathy and intellectual complexity are most well equipped to handle their sometimes forceful personality. Rarely interested in pursuing several relationships at once, reds seek deep, meaningful ones. When they find this person, they can be extremely romantic, dedicated and devoted to the relationship. Reds want to be needed to fix your problems. They express more storge. They fall in love least frequently of all the types, but once in a relationship, they don't defect easily. Sex is deeply meaningful for reds. Reds seek a mate who is perceptive, imaginative, and finds intimacy in the psychological journey. They fundamentally gravitate to greens because reds are saviors and want to be useful and needed by everyone they let into their close inner circle. In a similar respect, greens seek deep personal connection, always in search for a soulmate and romance. Essentially, greens seek the ideal partner. Someone whom they can make a deeply intense, intimate, deeply meaningful, inspiring and spiritual connection with. A soulmate. When they find it, they work tirelessly to promote harmony. It's the love of their life. Greens are popular with all types because they are flexible, appreciative, affectionate, good at reading others' thoughts and feelings, empathetic, and superb at expressing their own ideas and emotions. Greens tend to have a lot of dating choices as a result. Because they are trusting and curious about people, they're able to build meaningful relationships quickly. Like reds, greens like to go with one partner at a time and explore the depths or potential of this relationship before looking elsewhere. So again, like reds, they don't defect easily. Similar to reds, greens dislike wasting time on meaningless socializing. They want to engage in deep heart-to-heart conversations. They seek common emotional and intellectual ground to build a relationship upon. Dating isn't fun, it's a journey toward forming deep bonds to last forever. They seek long-term committed relationships. Estrogen and oxytocin-charged greens is what produces this nurturing ability and desire. When they find the one, they are superb at maintaining intimacy. Greens are the most romantic of all the four types. Sex must lead to serious relationships, not the ones for one-night stands. It makes sense why greens would gravitate or be most compatible with reds. Whilst in many respects reds and greens are very different in terms of their introverted and extroverted styles, many of their traits actually align with one another and create a balance that forms a solid foundation for long-lasting love. All of this highlights the importance of personality profiling and building a knowledge base surrounding the different behavioural styles. Understanding your own type is fundamental to then exploring which types are more compatible and why. This not only enables us to navigate relationships more effectively, but potentially build more long-lasting, meaningful ones in our lives. So that's the personality type match who is for who breakdown. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. My recommendation is to explore the full personality type series, as it will make what we have discussed today even more powerful. Once again, appreciate you tuning in. Hit the like and subscribe if you're finding value in the content, and I'll speak to you again soon.